It's been well
recording in progress.
Apologies, Matt. We've got the tech heads over here doing an awesome job, by the way.
Outcomes of the transition process, we're really proud of, and it builds on the assets and strengths that we have as a partnership. I would like to highlight some of the transition achievements. We have 3 very experienced PCP staff who will be transferring over to the PHU, and between them they have 42 years of PCP experience and relationships. We have an agreement that alternative funding projects such as building community resilience to climate change and providing regional advisor role to local governments involved with Vic Health Partnership Programme will also transfer across. That the priority work that we are currently focusing on will continue, as is and including the Sea Change Portland, Regenerate Change, Hands Up Casterton, Integrate Glenelg, Healthy Glenelg and Building Evaluation Capability. This work will continue and strengthen with the skills of the PHU in epidemiology and data analysis, and adapt further as we also add to the regional and state outcomes. And can I just say, folks, I'm so proud of myself that I've said epidemiology if it's going on. I guess when I was practicing today, I get tongue-tied. Commitment to the future, partnering based on local place-based approach. Our existing executive committee members are invited to come together to help co-design what the future local and regional partnership model and processes will be, and have input into strategic direction. This interim group will also be seeking further diversity and representation from other partners and friends in our local area, and I would ask everyone to consider how your organisation is best placed to be involved further in those discussions. Our executive committee is starting to build a good relationship with several staff on the Barwon Southwest PHU that has been based on open and respectful discussions about future expectations. I would ask everyone to bear with me for a few minutes whilst I get through some very important thank yous. First of all, as the interim chair, I'd like to recognise all of the executive committee members that have only gotten stronger as a team through this transition period over the past 6 to 12 months. The staff have also asked me in particular to thank the executive committee on their behalf, for during this period of change, staff have said how they have felt supported and secure, that they have felt that decisions about the future of SGGPCP work in the hands of such a committee, the executive committee. I'd also like to thank Mary Ann Betson from Casterton Memorial Hospital, who has been an executive member since the PCP's inception 21 years ago. Paul Phelan from Glenelg Shire Council, Susanna Milne from Southern Grampians Shire Council. I'd also like to point out that Susanna is the Deputy Chair. Mr. Lee Parker from Haywood Rural Health. My colleague Margaret Cadenhead from Portland District Health. And I should also point out that Margaret, until last year, was the chair of the PCP, and it's very big shoes to step into. I'd also like to thank our newest members of the executive committee, Kelly King from Warning Water and Anne Murphy from the Southern Grampians Glenelg Glen, who have added strength and diversity to our committee over the past 6 months. Folks, the PCP and the work that's done would not have happened over the past 21 years if it wasn't for the amazing staff. I'd like to extend a huge thank you for the team at the PCP for their hard work, their professionalism and innovation that they have provided the partnership. The PCP team has been an extremely stable team of staff, and their strong relationships that they have developed and maintained with so many partners over the years has really added to the strength of the partnership. Along with this ability to nurture partnerships, the team is also recognised for their innovation and ability to support partners in making transformational changes in the way that we work across our region. On behalf of the Executive Committee and partners, I wish to acknowledge and thank Ms. Rowena Weil. Rowena has been with the PCP for 21 years of service, and her wealth of knowledge and partnerships that she has fostered across the area. Joanne Brown, or Jo as she's known to us all, 14 years of service to the PCP and acknowledge your leadership and partnerships, especially in supporting our community to be more resilient towards climate change. Ebony Rook, 7 years of service at the PCP, and a special mention of Ebony's great technical skills of systems thinking in addition to her quiet but strong influence and skills. And we wish Ebony the absolute best for her upcoming new adventure in August with the birth of her first child. I'm so pleased to be able to say that these three PCP staff are going to be transferred over to the PHU and will continue in their great work. Robin Holcomb, 11 years of service with the PCP, including her final task of organising today's event. Robin has been the oil that's kept the team running smoothly and organising everyone, including myself as the interim chair, and to ensure that we are getting the job done. Robin is staying on with the Western District Health Service and using these great skills in both the maternity ward and also the community palliative care service. Emma Schultz is still within her first year at the PCP and was brave enough to join in amongst some very changing and challenging times. Emma is working within the Generate Change Initiative as part of a 5-year arrangement where WDHS has provided the funding for this role to be supported within the Southern Grampians Canal PCP. As part of the change, Emma's role will transition back to WDHS, and we gratefully welcome Emma's knowledge and experience into the team at WDHS. And last but not least, Jeanette Long. Jeanette has given 13 years of dedicated service to the PCP as the executive officer and has led such a strong team. One thing that we have learned from Jeanette is she doesn't like the status quo for too long and is always looking for ways to positively change things. This has led Jeanette to decide not to transition, but to hopefully apply her experience from the PCP into her new role in the disability sector. I know that I speak on behalf of the PCP team, as well as my colleagues on the executive, when I say that Jeanette will be missed. And Jeanette has been an incredible leader to the team, and her support to both the wider executive team as well as to me personally as interim chair has been second to none. And I would like to wish Jeanette all the very best in the future. Again, I wish to thank all these staff for their significant contribution over many years to keep on getting the job done whilst all around is moving and changing. The ability to adapt, understand our members and friends, and keep us together and achieving outcomes in many collaborative initiatives in our daily. I'd like to thank all our members and friends for believing in the value of partnerships and actively contributing to the work to empower our communities to thrive. Whether your organisation is a former member or not, you all contribute to the actions and outcomes of the partnership in numerous ways, whether it is to endorse the efforts of picking up the phone to share information or being part of the many working groups that the PCP supports. They are all valuable contributions that have been made, and without them this partnership would not have achieved what it has over the past 21 years. You all make partnering in Southern Grampians and easy, and I thank you all for that. I look forward to being part of the future where we can combine the strengths of Southern Grampians and Glenelg PCP with the skills and regional view of the Barwon Southwest PHU to strengthen the health and well-being of our Southern Grampians and Glenelg communities. And hope that you all, like me, are looking forward to building into the next chapter with me. I would like to ask Jeanette to come up and share some of the story.
All right, before I share the story, I've got 2 more thank yous that I wanted just to say that, and one is obviously Matt as interim chair. Matt put his hand up when we really needed someone to lead us through this next phase of transition. And I was so glad it was Matt. He's done a fantastic job, not just helping and leading the executive committee, but from all the staff as well, that extra mile we went to another level of support. All the meetings that you've attended to show your support to the staff has been fantastic. So on behalf of the staff and the executive committee, we just really thank you, Matt, for your leadership. other people I wanted to recognise too is Western District Health Service as a whole team as well. And so Western District Health Service has been the auspice for the PCP for the full 21 years. And it's been a fantastic journey with WDHS. I can speak on behalf of all the staff, but we've felt just such part of that team with WDHS that it's been fantastic, and we might still get a bit of that in kind love as we continue, I hope. But also I wanted to mention for me personally to be able to have the mentorship of both Rowan now and even Jim Fletcher previously has been a fantastic asset for me in helping on the journey. But I also say too is, and I say it quite often, I think WDHS has been the best auspice in the state, and I can't thank you enough on behalf of the staff and the executive for that too. Thank you to all the team at WDHS, not just Rowan, but Mac, Troy in HR, Nick in finance, all the crew. So thank you very much to WDHS. So I'm going to share a little bit of the story. Joe's telling me to stand on the dot. A little bit of I don't know if there's anyone too young in the room, but if anyone can remember, this is your life. So this is a bit of this is your life, Southern Grampians Glenelg PCP. And so I'm going to read you a story about this life of Southern Grampians Glenelg PCP. But I have to find the first page first. Yes, here we go. So once upon a time, in the year of 2000, the Southern Grampians Glenelg Primary Care Partnership, or PCP for short, was born, created by the state government of Victoria, who conceived that local communities who were empowered to work together in partnership, collaborating, sharing strengths, knowledge, and capacity could actually result in a better health and wellbeing outcomes. This didn't come totally out of the blue. There has been talk for years beforehand and trials under different names, but this led to 30 sibling partnerships being created across the state of Victoria. For the Southern Grampians Glenelg region, it was the birth of something special, a way member agencies could come together and formalise what they already long believed in, and that was that partnerships was the way to work. There's been one person, and you heard through Matt, that's been part of the PCP since its conception, and actually pre-conception as well. And she's actively been involved in the executive committee for that 21 years. She was bitterly disappointed that she couldn't join us in person today. So we've asked her to share a message, but we're going to share the message through caller Lady Doyle. So Marianne Betson from the Cassidy Memorial Hospital, but we're asking the caller to come and read out Marianne's message.
On behalf of Marianne, over the past years, you have all put in such a lot of hard work and dedication to the PCP. You've had passion and the skills to make things work and engage, especially with our more vulnerable communities. This work has made some sustainable changes to these groups. Well done to all the team at PCP. To the executive past and present, you should be proud of your achievements, far too many to count. It showed real collaboration and involvement with all levels of the community. From my memory, which is a bit frazzled this week, the first PHACS meeting rolled out around early 1998, pre-computers for the health system. I did find a report, however, on how they were going from 1999 attached. She attached that, had a little look at it, had a laugh on a few things. Some familiar and very interesting outcomes that we have all achieved since that report. Great bedtime reading. I wish you all a lovely last session, and to you all moving on, my very best for the future. You have all been a great cohesive team, and by allowing small facilities access to this provided our organisation and community with some wonderful opportunities. Kind regards and all the best, Marianne Betts.
Thank you, Marianne. I'm going to go a bit out of sequence here because I know somebody else in the room is on time frames. But I just wanted to say one of the things that the PCP has been really good at towards the end of our journey is looking at the system and testing on how we can disrupt it to make change for healthy outcomes. And one person who's responded wholeheartedly to this approach and has used his disruptive leadership skills to shift the healthy eating system here in Southern Grampians and is also the long-term auspice of the PCP, is Rowan Fitzgerald. So Rowan, I'd like you to come forward and just share one little reflection about your time with the PCP.
Well, on thinking about this, I feel as though the PCP has completely radicalised me. It's been uncomfortable in a lot of respects, because I was a neat miner before I came to Hamilton, and within the space of only a very short period of time, they had me in their clutches, and they were shaking that sort of natural sort of calm person right out of me. And they created this monster that wanted to go and change the world. And in a lot of respects, that's what we've been able to achieve. And I think it's come about because we've had a really good trusting relationship with PCP, and they're a great partner. You know, they help you believe in stuff that other people wouldn't do. And that's why, you know, as an organisation, the first public hospital to remove sugar in drinks. And I can't believe that, you know, over a bit of a thought bubble one night, we decided to put the idea out there that we should run a survey about sugar tax in Australia. And that created so much noise and disruption across not only this part of the world, but Australia generally. So much so that I landed a gig on the Sunrise program, and they initially said that it's going to be time that no one watches, 6:30 a.m. in the morning, and then they gave me a call to say, oops, no, sorry, you hit prime time 7:45, it's going to be a 10-minute interview. Everyone's so interested in this particular thing. But what it says and demonstrates is the PCP, through their advocacy and their support of organisations such as they have had a remarkable influence on the direction of our organisation. And I am incredibly grateful for the support of things like the team, Jeanette, and just the way in which they have just gone about their work. So thank you on behalf of WDHS. It's been an amazing journey. I hope the Barwon Health, Public Health Unit can actually live up to what's been able to be achieved over the course of the last few decades. I do say there's big shoes to fill, and I think in this regard, that's absolutely the case. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rowan. Thank you for being here today. So I'm going back a bit to the start of the story. I just had to feed Rowan in there. But thinking back to the early days, there, of course, this ship, partnership, needed a captain. And the very first executive officer was Margaret Skeen. In these early years, the Department of Health was very caring and nurturing of its new babies across the state and worked with the PCP to build its skills and outcomes in service coordination. That, better access to services, was a program to achieve a number of statewide and local outcomes. The widely used SCOT tools for coordinating services and referrals that we've been one of the most commonly known was developed and embedded in this era. Statewide and local service directories and referral pathway documents and tools were also very much needed and developed at that time. A key player in some of this work is our current and longest serving staff member, Rowena Wiley, and I just invite Rowena to come forward and just briefly share some of your reflections.
So yes, the early days saw us basically given this piece of work to do, service coordination, but what we quickly realised was that something coming out of Melbourne that was meant to be applied in practice right across Victoria needed a bit of tweaking and adapting to what our local partners and services were telling us would help it work in place. So that was probably very early on where we started developing some really strong partnerships with local organisations and really honing our skills in what partnership looked like, because previously I think we'd just sort of thought, well, it's just about us talking to people and encouraging them to do what we want them to do. But we certainly soon heard quite loudly from our partners that that was not going to cut it, and so that was the beginning of the two-way communications and really co-designing. Way back then, before even co-design was the earlier term. So So the laying all that great foundation.
So after these early years, there's a definite shift in the PCP. As with most children, as it grew and matured, it looked for opportunities to look outside of the Department of Health Mother in Arms and should address the larger needs of the community. The partnership grew braver and more innovative in this new phase of independence and local partner empowerment. The PCP was responsive and courageous during these times. Notably, in 2006, the millennial drought was having a drastic impact on our community and required the partnership approach. Recognising the role that the PCP could play, we put up our hands to facilitate the drought committee. Having cross-sector organisations around the table was another demonstration of the strength of the partnership. The early years of the drought committee saw extensive collaboration and partnerships built, with just one example being the award-winning Farm Gate project. Later, as the drought was no longer the biggest concern, the committee saw benefits in keeping the relationships and continued to meet as the Rural Adjustment Support Network. We later used this established and trusted relationships to come together quickly and broaden our membership in response to the COVID pandemic. I'm going to ask Phil Clubbin, I can't see him there still, from the Department of Health and Human Services Centre to share some of his reflections at this time. So, thank you, Phil.
All right, so yeah, 2006 with the millennium drought, yeah, we were a bit lost trying to find farmers and get out to community as an organisation. It's a bit hard. And then the PCP was there, just bringing all our organisations together and just building a support network and coming with ideas. And so the Farm Gate method came. We had the financial side, we needed the medical side and the health side. And the PCP had the access into that through the health departments and all the other Balmorals nurses and all those little places that are out there. We found it hard to get to. And then with the RASNet, the same sort of thing, building those networks. Because as things change, we all move around. People don't stay in jobs. And having one central organisation that has those feelers into all those organisations and can find the people that they need to do the job and bring us together makes a vast difference to what we do. And that's really been, for me, a vitally important thing. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. And I couldn't have said it any better. So with the innovative and strong partnerships ready to tackle the tough issues, not afraid of new challenges and being very forward thinking, the partnership recognised the emerging health issue of climate change was presenting. The partnership wanted to highlight our local concerns and the possible solutions by the publication of what's now known affectionately as the Blue Book, Climate Change Adaptation and Framework for Local Action, still considered one of the best publications to guide prevention in this space. And I'm going to ask online, we've got Teresa Capitola from Deakin University. Teresa's going to share some of her insights around being involved with the PCP. So thank you, Teresa.
Thank you. I'm so privileged to be here. Can you all hear me? Yeah, fantastic. I'm so privileged to be here. Our collaboration with Southern Grampians and Glenelg PCP, I think, spans about 10 years. And I remember from the first report put out by Rosie Rowe and Anita Thomas, it was a shining light in a very, very cloudy landscape. And what we needed was some leaders who were speaking about the experiences of their communities on the ground. This was very important for us in a teaching and a research institution to hear voices from the sector and voices that were not only calling out, but also calling out and saying, this is what needs doing, and these are the frameworks that we need to employ. So our job is to educate the leaders of the future, and we have this pressing climate emergency, as we're all aware of, which is dynamic and constantly changing. So over these 10 years, we have looked to the PCP for the initiatives, for the programs and for the research that you've done in order to support the leaders of the future through our students. We've done numerous collaborations through student placements, through research publications. I have lent on Jo Brown more than anyone I know, and she has never, ever let anyone down. and has presented numerous times to my students, letting them know about the problems and the solutions in the sector. So, and I know the team, and it's a wonderful team effort, but I do want to single out Jo for her contribution to the leaders of the future in addressing climate change and health. All the best to all of you. I hope we have more collaborations.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you very much. So like Teresa said, we soon realised that we'd only scratched the surface of the connection of the impacts of climate change on human health. And this was the start of a 14-year journey that continues today. Our climate change work was really giving rise to numerous collaborative projects, resulting in a library of publications, placing our PCP in partnership most deservedly as a leader in the space with government, policymakers, researchers, students, and communities are lining up to learn from us. Leaders were proclaiming our work at conferences near and far, and we were asked to be part of this work. We were asked to be part of work to influence policy and practice, community approaches, and as part of many foundational groups and partnerships. Our most sought after person, and Teresa's confirmed this, to share our experiences and insights into health and climate change, and she's really on celebrity kind of status in this field, is our dear staff member, Jo Brown. So Jo, I'll just let you share a quick reflection. Quick.
I came along to PCP for a 3-month position in 2008 or 2009, and what I've enjoyed since then is really not 3 months. Is the collaboration and the partnership that comes with that, and it's just such a privilege to be involved in everything PCP does. With the climate change work, I'm just so proud that this PCP took a big leap of faith and was very courageous to say, we need to do something about climate change and health. And I'm so proud and excited when I do things like see our blue book being used by different universities, see it held up in a conference, have the Commissioner for Sustainability, Kate Orty, ring me one day and say, Jo, can I share some of the PCP work in my report on the environment for the Premier this year? Can I do that? To be sitting in a conference and have the Emergency Management Commissioner, Craig Lapsley, say, oh, there's Jo there from Southern Grampians PCP. What amazing work they're doing in the climate change space. My heart just swells with pride. Recently, probably not that, a little long ago now, time sort of goes a bit quick, I had a message from a professor at RMIT University and a photo, and it was, they're showing your film already at Melbourne Resilience Conference. It's a Rockefeller Centre Foundation with international guests here. It's just incredible to know that the work that you do here just spreads all over the place.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, in the spirit of addressing community needs, ethics and innovation, the partnership recognised the strong connection between the arts and community arts and wellbeing. And we're excitedly branching out to grow our creative side. We partnered with the amazing international and local artists to work with the community over several years. We fondly recall the international community artist Ian Kidd making a sign and dance to art workshops to grow a concept that became a spectacular event known as the Hamilton Olympic Games opening ceremony, which saw the local community coming together to celebrate a mock opening ceremony as well. The arts project saw us tweeting, and that's not on Twitter, but the creation of handmade birds by the community members flying in our libraries and public spaces. We projected images on historic buildings and made short films. Another person from that time is a former staff member, Erin White. And so I invite Erin to come forward and share some of your reflections of your time at PCP. And whilst Erin's coming forward, Erin's also a local consultant now and is helping us to develop a booklet that we'll share with you in a couple of weeks to capture some of this story too.
And thanks for the plug.
You won't find it.
No, you won't.
Know how to find it.
So yeah, look, it's a privilege to be asked to be involved in this, and it's I'm really proud that I can reflect on 21 years ago, and rather than make me feel old, it makes me feel really proud that I had a part to play in the history of PCP, and that's been a real privilege to me. Reflecting on the Hamilton Olympic Games opening ceremony. That is certainly one of the highlights in my memory of my time with PCP. So I started a couple of weeks, I think, after Rowena back in 2001. And so I was involved in a variety of projects that PCP has done over the years. And HOCO, as it's affectionately referred to, was certainly a highlight. And I was looking at the photos just this week and seeing the different community members, agencies that were actually involved in that one event and the impact that that had. And it's just really, really fun. From the mock-up of the Olympic flag being brought in on the back of a ride on a mower, very ceremoniously, to young people dancing to Michael Jackson's Thriller and doing a fantastic job of that, to various community groups being involved in that one event. It is a testament to what PCP stands for. In our tagline back in the very beginning was about working together. And that certainly has not been lost. In fact, it's obviously been confirmed and built upon over the years, and a real testament to PCP in working truly collaboratively with others. A credit to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So there were some exciting innovative projects in that phase, and it was a very important period for the PCP where we were finding our feet, and I won't say we were walking, we were running to address the local needs. There was an important leader guiding the partnership at this stage, and she did for 5 years through this growth and independent phase of the PCP. So I'd like to introduce Rosie Rowe, the Executive Officer who started in 2003. Rosie's creative, big picture thinking was one of the key drivers of this phase. And I welcome Rosie to share one of your memories, Rosie.
Thanks, Jeanette. Well, any organisation gains its strength, doesn't it, from its purpose and its people. And at the PCP, we've had an important purpose. We're inherently doing things that would benefit the most vulnerable in our community. We were very privileged to work, be given autonomy to work at a local level to identify and to act on our local priorities. We had the choice, and that was a big strength. It was lovely to hear Mary Ann Betson's words about it reached right down to some of the very smaller agencies because we were locally led. And of course, in any organisation, it's always all about the people. So we've had a strong, diverse and dedicated team, and it's just absolute delight to hear people speak today, and it's a testament to see people who've worked there for 20, 21 years. It was a dynamic time. You've heard some of the exciting projects we're involved in. We generated a lot of energy and engagement from a variety of people stretching beyond our boundaries, well into policymakers in Melbourne and internationally. We made a significant difference. And you all have things that come to your mind about that, making that difference. You've mentioned some of them so far. One of the, some of the proudest times early on was through work of the team member. We reduced the rate of falls presentations to emergency departments through our falls prevention work. We achieved fluoridation in Southern Grampian Shire. That was alongside really tackling some community arts needs that we realised in Southern Grampian Shire particularly was a gap, particularly for young people. We shone a light on family violence when that wasn't a health issue recognised by others. We took that on, and you've already talked about the birth of stretching the PCP into very uncharted waters of climate change, and the list goes on. So all the best for the next phase. It's such important and it's privileged work, and we really look forward to what's the next phase going to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie, and lovely to see you there online. From 2010 onwards, there's a lot of change happening in the environment around us. There was the creation of the sub-region in the Barwon Southwest that was getting more traction, with being the Great South Coast sub-region. This led to the PCP doing more work at that local and sub-regional scale. Massive reforms in the community sector resulted in many of our local service providers, such as Community Connections and Aspire, becoming part of larger organisations, with headquarters moving to more centralised locations. At a similar time, the Commonwealth is establishing Medicare locals, which have now evolved into PHN public health networks. Sorry, I'm getting all my P's mixed up. That brought perhaps perception of potential duplication between them and PCPs. But as always, our partnership was very quick to adapt and focused more heavily on health promotion and prevention at that time. There's more than one person in the audience today online. There's been both an executive committee member and a staff member of the partnership, but I'll call on Fiona Heenan today, who's the former chair of the PCP and in the earlier days staff member, to share one of her highlights of the journey. Thank you.
Wonderful, and thanks for the invitation today. Yeah, I moved back from Melbourne back in 2005 and took up a position as a project officer with the PCP. And I was wearing black at my first meeting at Preston Memorial Hospital. And dear Sheila Brown, the nurse said, "You won't even do black on." She denies it to this day. So I'm here today. But I'd like to acknowledge just a couple of awards and significant things that I think which is relevant to. We did a lot of work in this partnership and coming back from Melbourne. It was so refreshing to come back where I grew up to see how community groups and health services and the CFA and how we all worked collaboratively together for the better outcome for our community. The leadership, that capacity building, and our sharing of our knowledge and skills, and and not duplicating services. In 2008, we did win. We were silver in the Victorian Public Healthcare Awards for striking a balance in falls prevention, and that was particularly in the small rural communities, which you've taken to Caston and Dunkeld, Hayward, Dartmoor, Bush Nursing Service, child friendly as well with my small daughter in tow some days. It's Rosie. In 2009, we did a chronic conditions consumer journeys project for rural consumers' experiences of chronic conditions, for people living in Portland and District area, and just how, and that was fed back to the board. Consumer engagement and participation was all new back then, and now it's right across all the national standards and the aged care standards. So we were innovative back then. And in 2008, this was my passionate baby, and also as PCP chair, was to see the work that we did with See Change Portland and Generate Change, and with Deakin University and others, significant providers, and which eventually led to us supporting the populations category. We were winners at the Victorian Public Health Awards. Really proud and thankful to have worked with such a great team, Rowena, way back when, and Erin as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Fiona. And we were going to bring all our awards up and put them on display, but we didn't want to have to fire a trailer. Moving along, in 2011, we saw the development of the first Victorian Public Health and Wellbeing Plan, closely followed by local municipal public health and wellbeing plans. Our partnership has strongly supported local government in various ways in the development of every iteration of these plans, and it was also coordinated collective action and their implementation. In one iteration, our PCP led a Great South Coast capacity building effort to support the 5 LGA region to do better health and wellbeing planning as well. And more recently, with Jane Ruby, we've done a lot of work with the Glenelg Shire's current Minister for Public Health and Wellbeing Planning, establishing Integrate Glenelg as one of the mechanisms to deliver on foundational pieces around leadership, evaluation, and capacity building. Another of our former chairs of the PCP, who was also instrumental developing an early municipal public health and wellbeing plan in the Glenelg Shire, is Adele Lilly. And so Adele, if you would like to come forward and share a brief reflection of your involvement with the PCP.
Thanks everyone, it's lovely to be here today. I guess the things that I remember most about the PCP was the learning. I learned a hell of a lot being part of the PCP. Health promotion was, not something I had forefront in my mind. I learned a hell of a lot. We also did a lot of capacity building in that time as well. And I remember the partnership evaluation work that we did, and lots of other various things that helped support municipal public well-being. So I really value the networking opportunities, friendships, the partnerships, the innovation, beginning of sea change, beginning of generate change, and even the climate change work is the beginning of that. So it's basically what I remember, and I wish you all very well going forward. It's great to have change. It's invigorating, but we also need to acknowledge and recognise the work that's been and gone before, and the wonderful people who've been involved. So thanks for
Thank you, Adele, for sharing. So moving along, when I joined the PCP in 2009, I was the third executive officer. And as Max said earlier, it was pretty clear that partners were working well together, they believed in that, and you just made partnering easy. But what I also was blown away was the strength and the strategic thinking of the executive committee at that time, and that only grew in the following years. So one of my most memorable executive committee discussions was when the group agreed that the way we were undertaking health promotion in the region, especially healthy eating and physical activity, wasn't ever going to make a population level impact, and that we needed to make drastic change. That was a big courageous call for that committee to make at the time. They were calling themselves out. And it was the right call. The staff were charged to find new innovative ways to do health promotion and really address childhood obesity. As the team of the staff, we scoured the globe, and then we actually literally found the answer down the road in Geelong with Globe at Deakin University. And this is the start of a great relationship that we've had with Globe, the Global Obesity Centre. We were open to the world of community-based dynamics or systems thinking, to say in short. This also really resonated with our goal of mobilising the community to be part of the solution. Through extending our relationships to include experts in the ABCD or community-based asset-based community development realm with Peter Kenyon and Cormac Russell, Sea Change Portland, Generate Change, and later on Hands Up Caston came alive. The commitment by the partners to involved in those initiatives to reorientate their existing human resources to work on this innovative way was amazing. And this is why this work still continues 7 and 8 years on. And noting that this work is spoken about and learned from all across the world. We're lucky to have online today one of the greatest brains, sorry Andrew, but I do believe this, regarding community-based systems dynamics and its application. So Andrew Brown from the Global Obesity Centre, do you want to share your thoughts about your journey to the PCP?
Yeah, thank you, Jeanette. It's super great to be here. And honestly, the thing that comes to mind first is I moved to Australia. You all can hear from my accent. For those of you who don't know me, I'm from the US. I moved to Australia in 2015, and very early on, one of my first experiences in Australia was going to Hamilton's and Southern Grampians more generally community forum as part of Generate Change. And I just remember being so blown away, having learned about systems thinking and system dynamics in the US, at the level of community response and excitement there was at those workshops and the amount of potential. So I could tell right away from the PCP staff, from the great people in the room, from the energy that I had an amazing opportunity to be working with this great community and this great organization. And what I've really valued over time, I was from the US, from an urban area, had never done work with rural and regional communities before. I was really an outsider in the truest sense of the community, but they took a chance on me. We got to know one another, and I really, really value the two-way relationship, the way that I feel like I've been able to offer things to the community, but that I've learned so much from SGGPCP and the community about how to work with rural and regional communities, how to do great health promotion work, and how to really put the community at the center of work. So thank you all for the amazing work together, and I look forward to continuing to work with you through the PHU and other avenues.
Thank you, Andrew, for those lovely words. So I know it's a long story, but there's a lot to cover and we've only scratched the surface. But as many times before, change is happening. The partnership has always adapted strongly to change. I've come to the end of the chapter, to the end of this chapter in the book, but there are many blank pages to be filled. Many actually. There's a new author to guide the development of the next chapter. So I invite Deb Hay, co-director of the Barwon Southwest PHU, to come forward and ask Deb to share some of her insights on what the future pages may look like.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us here today. It's a really wonderful opportunity to listen to stories from the past and to hear the amazing achievements that you've made over a long time and commitment, the collaboration and the partnerships. I very much just want to congratulate both the executive committee and the SGGPCP. Too many consonants in a row. Yeah, and you just built such a strong foundation. And I'd also like to thank you for the building a relationship with myself and with other members of the public company. We reside in Geelong, but we very much are committed to the Barwon Southwest region and outcomes that we've been helped to achieve across the board region. Very much driven towards equity and I always say, if you live in Point X, then there should be no disadvantage, but we see those disadvantages still. So, in whichever lens that we look across, what do we want to achieve? And I suppose very much we're still in a point of unknown and uncertainty, and we still have to live with some ambiguity. But at the department level, they themselves are living in uncertainty and ambiguity as they dissolve some teams, build a transition team, and building a future team. So it's a hard space to be. I very much understand it's a hard space for the staff members, and you've been living in a very difficult position for the last couple of years in terms of, I think it's 1 more year funding or 2 year funding, and that uncertainty is hard, and it's been more difficult, I think, for everybody through COVID, where we're all grasping for at least some certainty in our life. We've all had both professional and personal times through there. So that, that's it. So Deb's going to tell you all the details of what you're going to do in the future. I'm not. We don't know the details. We don't know that. But we do know that it's a time to just build on very strong foundations of what's achieved, the amazing talent and the amazing community where you all reside. To make sure that we, in any way, and shout at me if we are, that we don't destroy anything we've created in terms of that foundation. But to look to what does better mean? What does better look like? How can you just recount these amazing stories, how you've continued to change and evolve and think differently? And I look forward to being challenged, in the future as well, and shaken up to say, like, you've got a leadership role, this is what's needed. You need to do something, you need to step forward. We need to step forward and say, why not now? Why not? We need to make sure that we keep stepping forward, keep building on, all the accolades, awards, get another, what do you need, a trailer?
Road train.
Of awards, and make sure that, continue to shine, because that's our role, to make sure that, the team, the community, continues to shine. As the department is this morning, the first task that they've said is around reflect on where you are now. What are the, bring that again, what's going on in the region? Where are our strengths? Where are weaknesses, and where we need to go? So asking very much again for direction that we can then build forward. We'll get future directions in terms of from the department where they need to see what's their investment, what they want to see, and we'll continue to partner and collaborate to future success. So yeah, thank you so much for inviting us here today, and look forward to coming here again. Whether it's at the Golden Hut somewhere else.
You stay up here then. You can stay up here. Before I pass the book on to Deb, I'm just going to ask you all for one more activity. I'm sorry. You know, there's no such thing as a free lunch. That you take some sheets of paper and we'll hand them out. Oh, actually, they're over on the table over there. And also those on Zoom in your chat box. And I've got 2 questions for you just to jot down some thoughts on. On the first piece of paper, if you jot down one highlight or a reflection that you'd like to share with the group, especially for those who haven't had an opportunity today. And on the second piece of paper, or the second one in the chat, also, I ask you to jot down one hope you have for the next chapter of the story. Thank you very much. So thank you to everyone who's joined us, especially on Zoom and here in person. Like those and share them in another way soon as well. But so thank you for joining us today to celebrate our phase and this passing on the launch into the next chapter. The full story of growth and development of the partnership is impossible to tell in a short period of time. But if nothing else, I hope what is clear from the story is that it's not about individuals, whether they be staff, committee members, chairs, friends, or the authors. It's about how each and every one of you that has been part of the journey has made the partnership that we know today and the outcomes that we've achieved along the way. So to all of you as the partnership, this is your life. You're all welcome.
Thanks everybody for coming along today, both in person and for those people who is joining us virtually. For those people who are joining us virtually, I'm really sorry that you're not going to get a chance to join us for lunch, but just to make you all jealous, the smell that's coming from the kitchen is absolutely delicious. But wow, that's all I can say. That's a word that's it's a bit of a weird word and it's overused, but just sitting listening today is a celebration of 21 years of fabulous work, and it's been great that there's been people here who's gone through that journey, because it's really impressive. We talk about place-based initiatives, and just listening today to all the things that's actually this PCP and this small corner of Victoria has been able to achieve over 21 years is absolutely fabulous. And I think that shows the strength of this community or communities, but it's also an indicator of how important place-based initiatives are. Today is a celebration of 21 years, but it's not the end. As Jeanette was saying, it's the end of a chapter, but it's the beginning of a new chapter. And I said earlier in my opening address, it's the ceremonial handing of the baton. I don't have a baton, but there's a book. And I am very confident from all the work and the meetings that I've had with Deb, over the past 6 months. We've been through a journey together, and it's great to see Deb here today. I'm very confident of the future. We pass over, I hope that we pass over a very, very successful PCP, and I wish everyone all the very best for the future, and I'm looking forward to what the future brings. Before everybody runs off for a second, Jeanette, you just stand there for a minute to see you, because Jeanette Lowe, as we've said, folks, has done an amazing job in leading the PCP over the years. As I said earlier, Jeanette's has taken the decision to move on. She's got a new job. I hope you don't mind me sharing, with Empower in the disability field, and I'm sure that Jeanette will be absolutely amazing. So on behalf of everybody that's present, Jeanette, on behalf of the staff at the PCP, on behalf of the executive team, on behalf of the leaders, all the very, very best for the future.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everyone. I didn't know about this. And I'm probably not. every day and say I love my job. And you know, there's not many jobs that do that. So it's been 13 years of loving every day of my job, and thank you to everyone who's been part of that. My son's
Thank you for everybody's attendance online. Lunch is served for those people who's present. Hope everybody can stay for lunch. Thank you.